Hi there. Hi there. Hi there, everybody. I'm Dr.
Hi.
Rock, and I'm here with Chef Chloe, back with Chef Chloe. So nice to have you here. And just to
Yeah.
remind you, my name is Dr. Rock, spelled R-A-K, pronounced R-O-C-K, and I am a lifestyle medicine physician. I help people make big changes to their health and their life using lifestyle changes. And Chef Chloe is back because we are super excited to announce our new project, a new collaboration that we're doing. You want to tell
Yeah.
everyone about it, and please introduce yourself. People may not know you. You were on a live stream a few weeks ago, but it's so good to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chef Chloe. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to fall in love with your food, fall in love with being in the kitchen, self-care, so many things. So we'll get into that later. But I am a plant-based chef. I have a certificate in plant-based nutrition. I'm a diplomat for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I went plant-based in 2014 and it changed my life. So I get so excited and passionate about sharing this lifestyle with other people. It's not an all or nothing thing. Even just incorporating a few things into your life makes a big difference. So we're going to
Mm.
talk all about falling in love with the kitchen, which is something that I love. I mean, I feel like I'm meditating when I'm in the kitchen. When you get in that flow and you hit that flow state,
Mm.
it's there's nothing like it. So I want to help everybody kind of feel that same joy and energy in the kitchen that I think we both feel.
Mm. Yeah, love in the kitchen because it is Valentine's Day. So happy
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And uh, you know, food is one of those ways actually. I was thinking about this session and I was thinking food is one of those ways, first of all, we show love. How many
Yes.
times do we
Absolutely.
display and show love with food? Am I right? You know,
Everything. I mean, all celebrations are centered around
centered
food.
around food.
Um, you do something good, you celebrate with food. Valentine's Day, you celebrate with food. Everything, food is a universal language. It transcends borders and cultures, and there's something really magical about food.
When I was transitioning, like making changes to my diet, and uh, my mom came to visit, and
Mhm.
growing up, she made kebabs and chicken curry and all these things I loved. I loved. And I remember this particular trip, I said to her, it's just staying at her house, and I said, Mom, I'm not going to eat your chicken. She said, and she wanted to, like, cry. I think she maybe did cry because, that is, like you said, our love language. And for her, I think she was losing a piece of that tradition and how she shows me love. And I will say, it didn't take long to pivot because she makes all this wonderful Indian vegetarian food that I didn't really care to eat as much when I was growing up. And then I said, Mom, you make great chana and you make great aloo gobi and you make all these things. And I want those things now. And so now, and then very quickly she was like, oh, I can still, well, show you love through my food.
Yeah, I think that's a really common thing people run into when they're changing their lifestyle. People get really worried about, cultural traditions and what to do with families. So, would love to know if you have any other advice for somebody who maybe isn't as familiar with vegetarian heavy dishes in their culture. Like, what would be some advice you would give them when they're navigating family?
Yeah, navigating family and navigating yourself, right? Because
Mhm.
and I ask you this, like when you first made this switch, um, there were things I'm sure for all of us, like if you're, and you don't have to go all, like you said, you don't have to go all or nothing. It's not that. I really
Right.
focus on what are the good things I'm going to be putting in. So with my patients, for example, the first thing we'll do is, especially if this is a new way of eating for them, I remind them it's not a new way of eating. You've been eating fruits and vegetables your whole life. So, and then what are your favorites? Like,
Yeah.
we literally, I have them make a list what their favorite vegetables are, their favorite fruits are, their favorite beans and legumes are, their favorite grains,
Mhm.
and then we design meals using those ingredients and snacks using those ingredients. I say, "You should be eating the things that you love." And
Right.
so let's focus on, eating those things and not like, okay, I'm not going to be able to have this anymore. I'm not going to be able. You know what? You can still have that. You can still have. I remember the first, I don't know, 5 years of doing this. I would eat regular pizza like once a month. Like I allowed myself, the opportunity to eat. My family would get pizza. I'd say, okay, daddy's having some pizza today. It's that time of the month because I didn't want it to feel like a perpetual restriction. I was
Right.
making these changes because I wanted to nourish myself and love myself, and that's something we can get into, and not because I was trying. I think so many diets are rooted in punishing yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. If we're talking about love in the kitchen, I think that's a good place to start. Is like, why are you making this change? Why are you what are you, are you doing it because you wanna punish yourself, or are you doing it because you love yourself?
That was a huge shift for me when I went from dieting to just wanting to live healthfully.
Mm,
It was liberating. It kind of took this weight off my shoulders of deprivation. And now I was excited to add things
mm,
into my life. And
mm.
I think that kind of energy and um, passion and excitement is really important because willpower can only get you so far. Willpower is a finite resource, and there's a lot of science that shows you can't just white knuckle
That's
through behavior change. You have to build other strategies around that. So, not
right.
relying on willpower and shifting the mindset to that self love and
The
care is really
self-love.
important.
Yeah, willpower, you're right. It's depleted to the point where you're exhausted.
Yeah,
If you are constantly trying to control and police yourself, it's exhausting. And then you're so exhausted that you say, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to
yeah,
do this anymore. I can't live this way anymore. And I've been there. I'm sure you've been there where you just say, okay, I'm done with this. Maybe I'll try again on Monday. But, Monday comes and the same cycle repeats. Same cycle repeats. Yeah.
yeah. I remember so many times I would, wake up, be like, okay, I'm going to eat XYZ today. I'm going to do really good. And this was before I shifted my whole life and mindset. But,
Yeah.
uh, I would do so good until the end of the day and I would be just tired. And you, each
Mm,
decision you make depletes that willpower.
mm.
Each decision, including what you're going to wear that day, different ways to get through traffic. Everything depletes it. So by the end of the day, I would come home and just eat things that I didn't want to be eating. And I couldn't understand why I did so good. And then I couldn't maintain that.
Mm.
So yeah, I think there's so many strategies, about building your environment to make sure that you're supporting yourself
Yeah.
in those times where, you can't rely on willpower. So yeah, I think
Well, if
there's
you're
so much to be
eating
said about that.
absolutely, and if you're eating food you love, and food that's
Yeah.
delicious, and food I would say that not just, is, tasty, but even at times it's healthy for you, and it also feels indulgent. You say, "How can this be? This brain playing tricks on me?" And that is your superpower, Chef Chloe. You are able to create whole food, whole unprocessed plant-based food, and put it together in a way and create recipes and that you feel like you're eating, you know, you don't feel deprived at all. You actually feel like you're eating something indulgent.
Yeah.
And we're bringing this to your home. So Chef Chloe and I are going to be hosting the first of a series of cook-alongs. It's called the Prevention Plate. And this month, Chef Chloe, we're focusing on hypertension, high blood pressure.
Which also has to do with the heart.
That's right. That's right. On Valentine's Day, On Valentine's Day, we are celebrating the heart. This month, we are focusing on high blood pressure because high blood pressure is, first of all, it's rampant. Most adults have elevated blood pressure. And nowadays, many teenagers and kids are developing high blood pressure.
Yeah.
It really speaks to the food environment and the food we're eating as probably the biggest driver, and then inactivity. And so, to address the food, we know when you eat a colorful diet full of fruits and veggies and whole plants, actually your blood pressure goes down. And so you are going to be taking us through a culinary journey. We're going to cook along with you. Any preview of the recipes, the things that we're going to be making?
Yeah. So we're going to be making a carrot cake oatmeal bake, which
Mm.
is really, it feels like you're eating something like a baked good, but it's oatmeal, so it's really healthy and really good for hypertension. And we're also going to be making a roasted beet and almond ricotta salad, which is going to
Mm.
be really flavorful. I know, some people might have some apprehensions about beets in your salad, but trust me, the combination of the like caramelized beets,
Mm.
the roasted beets with the balsamic and the creamy ricotta, it's really
Mm.
delicious. I can't stop eating it. We're also going to be making a oat risotto.
Mm.
So that's going to be really fun. Instead of using white rice, we're going to use oats, and the texture is really great. So that's awesome. And then we're going to give a bunch of other recipes as well. There's a lentil soup. We have a hibiscus drink and some
Mm.
other stuff as well. So it's going to be really fun. And we're going to walk through the recipes and, create some beautiful magic together.
Magic. Yeah, you are getting me hungry and excited. Sounds like a delicious menu. You will
Yeah.
get a shopping list a week, and the full recipes or just the shopping list a week before?
Yeah, the
Probably
full
the
recipe.
full
Yeah.
recipes and the shopping list a week
Mhm.
before. The event's gonna be on Zoom, and
Yes.
it'll be recorded. You'll also have access to the recording. Um, I will be there. I will be, cooking along and talking about other lifestyle strategies to lower your blood pressure. Certainly, diet is probably the most impactful, and things like breath work and movement and how we sleep and how we rest and even how we connect with other people have an impact on our blood
Mhm.
pressure. Having a pet impacts your blood pressure, for example. So those pet owners out there may already know that. Um, we're super excited. It's just going to be a fun, magical. I love you said magical. 90 minutes, and it is Sunday, February. What's the date? 25th.
25th. Yeah.
Yes,
And
4
they
p.m.
also they get the
East.
shopping list and the recipes. They also get your amazing PDF as well.
That's right. So I've put together a lifestyle protocol or guide for addressing high blood pressure. Now, all of this is to say, we are doing this for educational purposes. And if you are dealing with high blood pressure and you're on medications, we'll also ask that you work with your personal doctor because as you make lifestyle changes, the beauty and the magic is that your blood pressure starts to come down. I was actually just talking to my mom this morning who used to be on 5 blood pressure medicines. Now she is on 3, but one of them is on a very, very tiny dose. Like, they just keep coming down. And she was telling me how she was at Temple a few months ago, and when they got up to stand at the end of the service, she was so lightheaded and dizzy, she couldn't get up, and there was her close friend is a cardiologist there and took her blood pressure, and it was very low. And then within a couple days, I think a day or two, she was checking at home, realized, wow, and what is my mom? My mom eats a largely plant-based diet. I had her start kind of doing a 13, 14-hour fast overnight, and walking. We realized that she wasn't getting a lot of movement in, and now she walks around. They live in Chicago, and she always complains it's too hot, it's too cold, and she's not wrong. And and now she walks around her home, and she just walks like circles in the basement basically, and she listens to things. She like listens to my podcast. And she gets like way more steps in than she used to. And she did all these things consistently. Um, and lo and behold, her blood pressure. So that's why you have to work with your doctor.
Yes.
And um, and if you need a doctor, if you need a lifestyle doctor, I'm licensed in 10 states, including all the big ones. And so you can visit my website because I can work with you directly to help you deprescribe. I can work with your primary care physician. Basically, it's like having a lifestyle medicine doctor who's helping to direct your holistic care. And okay, good. So I want you to, Chef Chloe, talk to the people out there that hear what you're saying and they're like, but I really don't like cooking. Like cooking is not my jam. I don't enjoy it. I'm not. And I hear that a lot. And I know people like that. What's your kind of response to that?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say, back to what you were talking about, having a doctor like you in my journey would have been incredible. Like, just to have that support and that knowledge, especially in the beginning, like, would have been
Mhm.
invaluable. I, kind of figured it out on my own, did a lot of research, but, to have a resource like that, I think it's so incredible
Yeah.
that, you're able to offer that. So everyone should definitely take advantage of that if they need that. And then in terms of falling in love in the kitchen, I think there's a lot of strategies. Last live we talked about, making it really enjoyable. So turning on music,
That's right.
creating an environment that's fun, invite some friends over, do it with your partner, your children, whatever kind of gets you excited. Friends would be awesome just to explore new recipes with, and then you can split it and take home different um, parts of the meal. And I think there's a lot of different ways that we can make the environment fun in general, and then don't force yourself to eat things that you hate.
Mm,
So if you
that's
hate
right.
um, mushrooms, don't make a mushroom dish. Make sure that you're including ingredients that you love and get you excited. So, if you love broccoli, let's figure out how to make a entree or two with broccoli. So first make sure you like the ingredients. And if you don't, and you're just trying to explore and find new foods, I think that's amazing as well.
Yeah.
But if you know you have an aversion to a food, avoid that food, first of all. Second of all, make sure
Yeah.
you're building a lot of flavor so that you enjoy the food. Make sure that you're using a lot of herbs and spices if the recipe calls for it, or just getting really familiar with those so you can learn when to add them if a recipe doesn't call for them, to boost the
Mm,
flavor, because
mhm.
herbs and spices are really, I would say, like the cornerstone of most recipes, or at least most good recipes, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and
Or
then if
bad I
you,
mean, they're the cornerstone of
yeah,
bad recipes too, because
if you overdo it,
you can
yeah,
take you can overdo it, but I was gonna say, you can take anything that you're like, "Ah, this is kinda blah and whatever," and then if you just kinda amp up the flavor, like, I have these, like, seasoning blends they sell, salt-free seasoning blends, and so I will just, like, my own food, like, I make my meal prep, and I'll be like, I'm not feeling this today," and then I've got, like, a Mexican one where I'm just like, "This is this is pretty good." And then, the joke, have you ever heard this joke, "What's a vegan's best friend?"
what?
Is a ti is a good sauce.
It is. Sauces and dressings make or break
Yeah,
the recipes.
yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, it's just not to say it's just vegetables, I love plain vegetables, but you can elevate you can really change something up with a couple really tasty sauces and dressings.
totally. And then again, to build joy and love for being in the kitchen, um, take it slow. So, if you're somebody who's not very familiar with the kitchen, maybe start with knife skills and figure out, just the fundamentals so that you feel confident. We want to be able to build your confidence and, you know, not feel overwhelmed when you're in the kitchen. So read a recipe all the way through, prep things out, measure things out before you get started can really make the cooking process go a lot easier. And if you have, if you're, let's just say you don't like to cook, but you have somebody in your life who loves to cook, maybe ask them for advice, ask for
Mm,
tips, ask for their
mm,
favorite recipes, or cook with them. I think
mm,
is a really great strategy.
mm. Yeah, I also hear, like, what you're saying is kind of be open to doing something new,
Yeah.
and I not for cooking, I enjoy cooking, but for other things, I have to catch myself, like, that I have this story, this isn't something you like, and if you tell yourself that, if you say, "I don't like cooking," then guess what? You're not gonna like cooking. And you can tell yourself a different story, like, "I'm not used to cooking, I don't have much background doing it, it's not something I think I prefer doing, and let me just sort of try it and experience it and see what it's like." And going in with that open-mindedness and curiosity, I think changes the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important. Um, and also, so for me, I really like a calm kitchen. It's not
Mhm.
everybody's preference, but um, incorporating mindfulness into my routine is really awesome for me. So there's a lot of different strategies to do this, but mindfulness is basically just being present with the experience around you, um, which is also good for hypertension. Mindfulness and meditation and breath work is all,
Absolutely.
you know, under that stress reduction category. But so for me, I like to, if I'm like setting up a mindful cooking practice, uh, you know, before you start cooking, as you enter the kitchen, kind of take a couple deep breaths, relax, set your scene, and then also connect with your intention. So, whatever you want to
Mhm.
bring into the cooking session, um, you know, if you want to leave work or stress outside, you can kind of just visually leave that at the door. You can also really do like a little meditation on where your food is coming from. So the farmers, the rain, all the inputs that brought
Yeah.
that food to you. Um, and then I like to get a little playful too. So um, cooking is all about your five senses, and that's what mindfulness is. So if you're present with those senses, then you're creating a mindful experience. So feeling
Mm,
the knife when you're chopping, smelling the foods, looking
mm,
at the vibrant colors, you know,
mm,
feeling the food and
mm.
really tasting it as you go is obviously the really fun part. But you know, you can even look at an onion and just see the roots of the onion coming down from the little end, and just imagine yourself rooted in the kitchen
Mm,
and rooted in, you know, peace and calmness.
mm.
You can look at a little pepper stem and see that it's stretching and can, you know, do a little stretch. So
Love
there's
it.
lots of ways that the food can inspire you in your, you know, if you're mindful and aware while you're in the kitchen as well.
Mm. So, yeah, I love what you're saying, which is, like, being fully present and also having fun, like,
Yeah.
making this an enjoyable experience. I go back to, like, the person that says they don't like to cook. They've really framed it as a chore, and that's true for anything. Like, anything you frame as a chore, you're gonna have an aversion to it. And many people I work with and a lot of people I know, they frame movement and exercise as a chore because actually that's what we've sort of been conditioned to do.
Yeah.
And like it's good for you, you'll lose weight, and actually like the people who cook, the people who exercise regularly, the people who cook regularly, you ask them, it's like, no, it's this wonderful experience. I get out of my head, I get into the experience of cooking, I get lost in it and and I feel so good. I feel so good. So if you are going into it and the whole time you're like, why am I doing this? And like this is hard and if feels like a chore, yeah, you're gonna be Miserable. Maybe, maybe not. You can kind of strong will your willpower yourself through, um, and get it done. But go in, with this fun attitude. I love the looking at the shapes of the vegetables, and then we'll have to incorporate that in our in our
Yeah,
session.
definitely.
And look,
Well, the whole
yeah,
mindfulness class too, we'll have to do
mhm,
that.
that's cool.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
And then also, like, I was just thinking, if you're a beginner or in the kitchen and you choose a really advanced or hard recipe, you're not going to
Mhm,
enjoy that. So, find appropriate um, recipes for you to try. And, even if let's say you do all those things and you don't like being in the kitchen, I still think you can bring joy and love into the kitchen, even if you're not enjoying it in the moment, by really
mm,
focusing on that nourishment that you're giving
mhm,
yourself, and framing that as that act of self-love. We don't does everybody love running 10 miles? No. Even a mile? But you're doing it out of love for yourself. So, if you
yeah.
can't get to the place where you're so excited to be in the kitchen, you can still shift your mindset.
And just like, that's so true. I totally agree with that. And just like running may not be your cup of tea. That may not be how you want to move. Elaborate recipes may not be your cup of tea. And you can learn still how to use spices and seasoning and kind of put food together and actually do it in ways that's convenient and that you enjoy. That in itself becomes it's not, because people say cooking, like there's on one end of the spectrum, there's you, Chef Chloe, you're a chef, you write and make curated recipes. But most of the time, I bet you're not sitting there and like, you know, f- looking at a recipe, right? I mean, you're sort of you have a sense of now because doing this for so long of how flavors balance together and maybe there's some tasting and then seasoning and then right.
Totally. I do actually I have a little PDF. It's not little, it's a PDF. It's called uh How to Build Flavor in Plant-Based
Right.
Recipes, and it's really kind of the formula and everything that I think about that goes into building flavor. And it goes from different techniques like marinating, which really concentrates flavor into different ingredients, to herbs and spices, and the different pathways in our brain that food kind of hits. So there's like fat, there's sugar, there's salt, there's heat, there's acid, there's umami. So when I
Mm,
taste something, I'm thinking about all those different flavors
mm,
and saying, okay, does this need a splash of lemon to kind of brighten up
mhm,
everything, to cut through maybe the rich sauce? Or does it need more, another date to balance out the heat?
mm,
There's just so many different um,
yeah.
ways to create flavor. So familiarizing yourself with all of those processes and learning just kind of the science and the art of food, because I think it's both. It's both a formula, and it's also just natural creation and learning how to, just balance things out in the moment.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. And that guide that you've put together, we're going to incorporate that in the resources that folks get when they sign up for and come to the prevention plate, which is on
Yeah.
February 25th, 4
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern. The sign up information is in the details below the stream. And Chef Chloe, I just want to, on this Valentine's Day, thank you very much for taking time out. Do you have any special Valentine's Day plans?
No, just making some food.
Making some food. Showing love with food.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same.
Mhm. How about
Same.
you?
Um, no real plans. I got some flowers last night. I went out and got some flowers. My wife really likes flowers. And I have 3 kids, and they're all super excited, so they went to school with their Valentines, and I was remembering what that was like when I was a kid. But yeah, we look forward to hopefully cooking along with you. So if you're interested, please sign up. And Chef Chloe, I really appreciate all your insightful tips and really helping people see how they can fall in love with, what we think of a healthy diet. We often think of a punishment, but it really is something you can fall in love with.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all of your insight as well. You have so much to offer everyone, and I just love how, passionate you are from leading from the heart. So even in your name, the RAK stands for
Mm. Roots,
rooted,
awareness.
roots, awareness, and kindness. Like
That's
that
it.
just says everything about who you are and what
Mm.
you stand for. So I'm really
Oh,
excited about this
thank
collaboration
you.
and sharing the love with everybody on Valentine's Day and on February 25th.
Awesome. Okay. Have a great week, everyone. And I will see you back here next week for a live stream.
Thank you guys.